Hey everyone, I am in my kitchen today with etúHOME to celebrate one of my favorite days of the year, Wine and Cheese Day, which is coming up this July 25th. In addition to celebrating Wine and Cheese Day and going through a few of my favorite wine and cheese pairings, I am thrilled to be able to introduce a new collection that is a collaboration between etúHOME and COCOCOZY. These beautiful new serving boards. The large one, gorgeous. Isn't that pattern spectacular? Colette Sheldon is a designer and product design, interior designer and a product designer. And she helped etúHOME create these gorgeous pieces made from reclaimed wood. All of these are hand done in Europe by local artisans. And she does the most beautiful patterns. These are just gorgeous pieces. So we have the small serving board, the large serving board, and then this gorgeous inlaid cutting board. If you can see that pattern, this is spectacular, and I love the handle on this as well. So I can't wait to showcase all of my favorite cheeses and wines and display them on this beautiful new collection. First up is one of my personal favorites, which is a sparkling wine. We are going to be sampling 4 different types of wine today with 4 different types of cheese pairings, and some other fun things that I also like to add in when I'm doing a wine and cheese tasting. To begin with, always start with your lightest wine and work your way to your darker wine, your heavier reds that really leave that a lot of tannin and kind of coat the throat. So you definitely want to start with some of your lighter wines. So today we are going to start with a sparkling wine, which is one of my personal favorites. This is a Prosecco, so out of Italy. I love this one because it's an extra dry Prosecco that moderately fizzy, but has this wonderful flavor of green apple and some fresh herbs. And a sparkling wine pairs beautifully with any sort of really creamy, buttery cheese. So today I have a triple cream brie out of France. One of my personal favorites. I have a large wheel, and this is a very, very simple pairing. All you'll need for this one, some fresh cherries, which are amazing this time of the year, and you can display it just like this on your beautiful little serving board. And also some fresh pistachios. So you can either serve your pistachios in the shell, kind of along the side, or even sprinkle a few around your cheese, like so. Or you can go ahead and shell them and also kind of just drop them right on top of this brie with these cherries. I would also add some other cherries that kind of go along the side of this just to make it really pretty. All you need is your cheese knife. Slice off a wonderful piece of this and enjoy it with some fresh baguette. Always have some baguette when you're doing wine and cheese tastings. The baguette obviously is a wonderful delivery device for any of your cheeses and all of the accoutrement that you're going to put with it. And it also is a palate cleanser. So we're gonna put a nice hunk, look at that yummy, yummy buttery triple cream cheese. Top it with a cherry and then some of your pistachios and enjoy with this amazing sparkling wine. All right, guys, we are gonna move on to our next pairing, which is our white wine. And today I have a Pinot Bianco, which is a white wine from Italy. This is a crisp but creamy white that has kind of hints of peaches and some citrusy undertones as well. So today we are going to pair this with a delicious goat's cheese. So a goat's cheese obviously is very tangy and it works really well with kind of a creamier, crisper white. But I jazzed up my goat's cheese just a little bit. So this is about 12 ounces of just plain goat's cheese, which I put in my food processor and just whipped in about a teaspoon of honey. And it just kind of cuts that tartness a little bit of that goat's cheese. And then I will show you the main event, which is this amazing peach dish. So I call it the Bianco peaches because we are going to use some of this white wine in this recipe. And we are going to spread our goat's cheese on our baguettes and then top it with these essentially marinated peaches. So in my bowl here, I have some chopped peaches, and I chopped them to kind of, pretty small pieces. I left the skin on my peaches. You don't have to do that. If you want to take the time to peel them, be my guest. I just like to keep the skin on because that's where all the flavor is, and also all the fiber, lots of fiber in those peaches. So first of all, we are going to add some of our white wine to these peaches. Next, we are going to add some champagne vinegar. Add those to our peaches. A little bit of light brown sugar. Some freshly cracked pepper and flaky sea salt. And then, last but certainly not least, we are going to add some fresh thyme leaves. So I just grabbed some thyme, and I have my pretty little, and you can kind of break it up. The stems are nice and soft, so that works well in this. And then we are going to stir this up. Now, ideally, you want this to marinate for at least 3 hours, and sometimes overnight. If you want to prepare this kind of early in the day and then let it set for cocktail hour later that evening, that would be perfect. So these obviously are not marinating for 3 hours or so, but wonderful, wonderful topping. So I'm going to use my etúHOME butter dish, which also moonlights as a beautiful little serving dish with these cute little handles. So I'm going to transfer my peaches to this, and to serve this, I'm using this COCOCOZY etúHOME large serving board with these gorgeous kind of geometric patterns that Colette designed for this collection. So we are going to serve this with a little bit of baguette. So let's grab a baguette piece. We're going to get some of our whipped goat's cheese. So remember, we added just a tiny bit of honey to this. And then what we do is we top it with our marinated peaches. This is an outstanding pairing. The flavor in the peaches really comes out because of the sort of the peach undertones of this white wine. Any sort of light, crisp, kind of citrusy, peachy white wine will work beautifully for this recipe. Next, we are going to move on to our next variety of wine and serve it again on this beautiful large serving board. We are going to taste a rosé. This is kind of a medium-bodied rosé from the Provence region of France. This is a crisp, clean, dry rosé wine, which I love. We are going to serve this today with some very easy to make honey roasted figs. So what you do, take some fresh figs, cut them in half, lay them on a baking sheet, preheat your oven to about 400, 425. If you have a convection mode, turn that on. What you're gonna do is spread these peaches out, cut side up. You're going to zest an orange, a little bit of an orange, right over these pieces, and then we're gonna sprinkle these with honey and roast them for kind of 7 to 10 minutes. You wanna roast them until they kind of start blistering a little bit. And I am going to serve these delicious, zesty, roasted, honey roasted pears. Oh, and a little bit of cinnamon. Sprinkle them with a little bit of cinnamon, and these will be outstanding. With one of my favorite cheddars. So this rosé goes really beautifully with a sharp, kind of a little bit of a saltier cheddar. This cheddar is an aged cheddar, and what I love about it, it's from England. It has a little bit of a crispy crunch to it because as it ages, it kind of caramelizes and adds these like little crispy bits, and it is amazing. So what I would do is I would just grab a hunk of this amazing cheddar and plop one of these gorgeous honey roasted figs on top, and then enjoy it with your favorite glass of medium-bodied, crisp rosé. Delicious. Last but certainly not least is our red wine. And I'm going to be serving this pairing on this gorgeous COCOCOZY cutting. This is a cutting board and a serving board with this beautiful inlaid pattern that is just gorgeous. I love this piece so much. The red wine I have today for you is a rather unique variety. So it is a Pinot Noir, but it's a Pinot Noir from the Piedmont region of Italy. So it's a little bit different than your typical Pinot from Oregon. So this one is smooth and fruity with notes of berries and cherries, and you definitely want with this pairing, kind of a lighter, fruitier wine with low tannins. So this is a bit of a unique pairing, but trust me on this, it's delicious. So what we are going to do is, in my little bowl, I have some cultured butter. I highly recommend you have cultured butter in your kitchen. It's a European style butter that has cultures added to it. So it is so rich and so creamy compared to what you typically find in the US, which is a sweet cream butter. So what we're gonna do is we are going to pair this with a Stilton. So a Stilton is a crumbly, strong blue cheese, a little bit musty depending on how long it's been aged. What I love about this pairing is this butter really kind of cuts the woodsy and kind of the more intense flavor that some blues and in particular Stiltons have that some people don't like. But when you sort of mash it up with some cultured butter, it really makes it almost like a smooth and creamy cheese, spreadable cheese that pairs beautifully with a fruity red wine, because you need to have a more full body kind of fruitier wine to sort of be able to stand up to the flavor in a blue cheese and a Stilton in particular. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut the rind off of this Stilton, and then we're gonna add it to the bowl with our cultured butter, and I'm gonna mash it up with my fork. So the butter is at room temperature. The Stilton is also at room temperature, so it's soft. So we're gonna add it to this and kind of mash it up with our fork and get it nice and creamy and blended. And then what we are going to do is pair this, and obviously you can kind of see how it comes together. And I typically add kind of a tablespoon of butter for a fairly nice chunk of the Stilton, depending on how strong of a flavor you want this yummy spreadable concoction to be. So we've mashed that up, and it's a little bit of a mess, but that's okay. We can make it look prettier later before we serve it. I love pairing this with a little bit of an unconventional pairing, fresh radish, which are beautiful this time of the year. You can also, you can take the stems off, but I love leaving these leafy stems on because it just adds that beautiful pop of green to this. You can also take a few and slice them in half and serve them that way. So I recommend serving this really delicious, creamy, buttery concoction, blue cheesy concoction. Sip of your delicious fruity red. Get one of your radish. Spread it with a little bit of this delicious blue cheese, buttery concoction, and then sprinkle it with some fresh, flaky sea salt. And this flavor combination is unbelievably delicious. So good. I know it's not probably something you would normally put out for your guests, but trust me on this one, try it. You can also, again, serve this with sliced baguette. That would be delicious. You could thinly slice your radishes, spread some of the creamy blue buttery spread on it, top it with a little bit of flaky sea salt. Perfection. So, happy Wine and Cheese Day, guys. Thank you for following along. Love this new collection by COCOCOZY and etúHOME, and I know you will too. Perfect for entertaining and a wonderful addition to your kitchen. Cheers, guys.